Here are 10 types of people you need to avoid. Number 1. The complainer. The first type of person that is complainer. We all have that friend, family member or co-worker who seems to find fault in everything, whether it's the weather, their job, or even the food at a popular restaurant. They never miss an opportunity to express their dissatisfaction. Now you might wonder, why should this concern me? I can just ignore them. Well, that's easier said than done. Consistent exposure to such negativity has a draining effect on your mental well-being. It's akin to a leaky faucet, slowly depleting your reservoir of emotional energy. Stoicism teaches us to focus on actionable solutions instead of dwelling on problems. Imagine you're collaborating on a project with someone who is a perpetual complainer. Each meeting turns into an exhausting session of complaint. Without any constructive dialogue, the impact on the team's morale declines and you're sidetracked from finding actionable solutions. You'll likely find yourself increasingly disenchanted with the project and possibly even life in general. To make it easier to visualize, let's assume you are working on an important project at your company and you have a colleague, let's call him Alex, who constantly complains about everything. Whenever there is a meeting, Alex tends to speak up about the negative aspects of the project, from the pressure of the work schedule to organizational issues. Initially, you may try to listen to Alex and attempt to encourage him. However, over time, Alex's relentless negativity begins to affect the morale of the entire team. Meetings become tense and ineffective, and everyone feels drained after each work session. From a Stoic philosophy perspective, you can apply some principles to deal with this situation. First, focus on what you can control. You cannot control Alex's thoughts or actions, but you can control your own reactions and thoughts. Concentrate on improving your own work performance instead of letting the situation deteriorate because of Alex. Next challenge: negative thoughts. Alex's negative thoughts may not reflect reality or may not be significant. Challenge those thoughts and try to look at the positive aspects of the project. Finally, create a positive environment by embodying Stoic thinking and a positive attitude. You can influence the work group and help create a more encouraging work environment. Remember that Stoic philosophy is not about changing others, but rather about dealing with and responding to the situations around you. In this case, it will help you stay positive and focus on solutions instead of engaging in the negativity of others. How does Stoicism help us deal with the complainer? There are several strategies you can use. First, limit contact with this person whenever you can. If that's not possible, maybe it's because it's a family member or a colleague. Then your second option is to mentally distance yourself during his rant. Consider their grievances as a passing storm, loud and troubling, but ultimately temporary and powerless, against the immovable mountain that is your own inner peace. Your third option is to steer the conversation towards solutions or change the topic to something more constructive. To quote Marcus Harris, "You have power over your mind, not over external events." Recognize this, and you will find strength. This Stoic, timeless wisdom encourages us to protect our peace of mind and diligently ensure that the negativity of chronic complainers does not derail us from our inner path of resilience and virtue. Number 2. The drama magnet. Imagine you're navigating your life as if it were a ship sailing through calm waters. But then you encounter the whirlpool known as the drama magnet. This individual seems to have an unending series of crises, conflicts, or controversies, and like a whirlpool, they have an unsettling ability to suck you into their vortex of chaos. You might initially find yourself attracted to the drama magnet's energy, mistaking it for passion or excitement. However, you'll soon realize that being in their sphere is like navigating a ship through a storm, exhausting and dangerous. What makes dealing with drama from obstructive individuals challenging is that their urgent situations often make you feel as if they're your own. Their chaos can spread, and you may even find yourself drawn into conflicts that you initially had no part in. Consider a specific example. You have a friend who frequently gets into conflicts with others in your social circle. Let's imagine you have a friend named Sarah in your group. Recently, Sarah engaged in a heated debate about some issue within the group. The argument escalated into a serious conflict between Sarah and several others in the group. Sarah appeared very angry and dissatisfied with the others in the group for not agreeing with her point of view. She often criticizes and complains about the other members of the group and seems very frustrated with the situation. At this point, you've started to feel pressure and tension as you continue to be part of this group. Sarah often brings these conflict situations into conversations and the main topics of group meetings, and there's no sign that she'll stop. You've tried talking to Sarah, attempting to resolve conflicts and offering advice, but it hasn't helped in resolving the situation. And you've failed to change Sarah's perspective or ease the tension in this situation. To apply Stoic principles and avoid being drawn into Sarah's negative emotions, you can employ a technique called reflective listening. Instead of trying to persuade Sarah or engaging in the conflict, you can reflect back what she says in a non-judgmental manner. For example, when Sarah complains about others not agreeing with her, you can say, "So you feel frustrated with their disagreement, right?" This way, you don't engage in the argument and don't escalate the tension, but you still let Sarah know that you're listening and empathetic to her emotions. Number 3. The unfavorable person. Imagine this. You're a painter, creating art on a canvas. Your vision is given color, depth, and vitality by each brush stroke. Let the doubter come forward. They enter your studio, take a quick look at your work, and start criticizing it right away. Are you certain about that hue? It doesn't appear plausible. The majority of artists, you know, never make their words seem like gray paint strokes. Begin to fade your colorful canvas. This isn't your typical helpful criticism. Rather, it's a lingering air of uncertainty and gloom. Consider the scenario when you are eager to pursue a new job path. You've done your homework, spoken with subject matter experts, and when you tell people about your interest, you might have even enrolled in some basic classes. They enumerate all the potential reasons for failure in a concise manner. There is too much competition in the market. Do you possess the required abilities? What happens if you fail so quickly that your once confident vision starts to falter and doubts begin to feel like your own? But don't allow the criticism get to you or make you doubt yourself. Take a new tack and reject accepting uncertainty and agreeing with them. Consider the following. Why is the market so competitive? Can I get better at handling this task if I run into problems? Can I grow stronger by learning from my mistakes and setbacks? By doing this, you can get them to stop concentrating on the drawbacks and start thinking about how to solve problems and get beyond obstacles. The secret is to continue to have faith in your own skills and to not allow the doubts of others to weaken your will to succeed. Thus, how should one respond to a doubter, particularly if they appear to be a close friend or relative? Asking them for help instead of merely expressing your objectives or goals is an unusual but powerful strategy. People are less inclined to criticize your ideas openly and are more likely to provide helpful criticism when they are given an advisory role. Another approach uses a strategy known as positive confrontation to change the narrative. Rather than taking in all of their negativity, make them come up with solutions. If they tell you that you'll never be able to change occupations at this point, offer an insightful viewpoint. What are the chances of someone changing careers effectively, in your opinion? This redirects the negative energy and promotes a more positive type of discourse. This redirects the negative energy and promotes a more positive type of discourse. Recall the words of Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher. We can listen twice as much as we can speak because we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Not listening is the same as taking in all of the negative. It entails separating useful information from irrelevant noise. When the doubters begin to cast their shadows across your work, step back a bit. The poisonous positivist is the 4th personality type to stay away from. You are familiar with this person, the one that is constantly beaming with joy, optimism, and emojis. It's them who advise you to focus on your happiness throughout a challenging time, ignoring your emotions and experiences in favor of a glitzy, frivolous optimism. Think of your existence as a garden. There are bugs and weeds in addition to flowers. Conversely, a poisonous positivist is adamant about disregarding anything that isn't a rose in full bloom. Apids on your foliage, they would say, just look at the flowers. Despite the positive-seeming attitude, it may leave you feeling unsupported and detached from reality. Let's say you are experiencing a challenging breakup. You're seeking emotional equilibrium and are depressed and perplexed. One of the most difficult things that somebody may go through in life is a breakup. Following the split, you could experience suffering, sadness, or even a sense of being lost in life. A toxic positivist's advice might be quite irrational and frustrating. A broad sea has an abundance of fish. Simply put, be joyful and smile. This remark may be true in a broader sense and have a relevant context, but it ignores the pain and challenges you're going through right now. You could feel as though you've lost a piece of yourself after a breakup, and it's not always a good idea to just smile and live your life to the fullest. Overly optimistic thinking ignores the complexities of human emotions and life's realities. Not everything in life is happy, and there are moments when we must face difficult feelings like despair, grief, and disappointment. These are inevitable and normal parts of life, as is self-criticism, because experiencing these feelings makes the agony worse. Rather than stifling all unpleasant feelings and concentrating only on the good, we can learn to face, accept, and think about the ways in which these emotions can aid in our development. The secret is to keep the positive and negative in check, to have a more balanced and realistic experience of life. How do you tend to your garden without allowing the negative, toxic energies to overshadow it with their haphazard positivity? There is only one way to deal with them. Have a conversation that welcomes both brightness and shadow. You may reply, "Look on the bright side, at least you have your health," if they say anything like that. Yes, I am appreciative of my health. However, it's also acceptable for me to be upset about this particular problem. Both are compatible. You can also make use of what psychologists refer to as emotional granularity, which is the capacity to experience and distinguish between a broad variety of emotions, both good and bad. Take a time to recognize and describe your complex emotions when the poisonous positivism encourages you to just be happy. For whatever reason, I'm feeling a little depressed today, but that's cool. Seneca once stated, can be a liberating affirmation in reference to Stoic thought. To truly be happy, we must recognize our responsibilities to both God and humanity and live in the present moment without worrying about the future. Take note of the equilibrium, acknowledging tasks that aren't always enjoyable and living in the moment. It is not Stoic to concentrate just on the positive or the negative. It's about accepting the complexity of life with composure. Take a step back the next time the poisonous positivist throws their confetti on your well-kept yard. Recall that a garden requires both sunlight and precipitation to thrive, and allow your entire range of emotions to be expressed. Continue giving your garden the depth and nuance it so richly deserves. Number 4. The toxic positivist. Toxic positivism in Stoicism is a concept that critiques the oversimplification or misapplication of Stoic principles, particularly when it leads to dismissiveness or invalidation of genuine emotions and struggles. While Stoicism teaches resilience, acceptance of what cannot be changed, and focusing on what can be controlled, toxic positivity can arise when individuals misinterpret these teachings to suppress or deny their own or others' experiences of pain, suffering, or adversity. In the context of friendships within Stoicism, a toxic positivist friend might exhibit behaviors such as dismissiveness. They might downplay or trivialize the challenges or emotions their friends are experiencing, urging them to simply stay positive or get over it, without acknowledging the validity of their feelings. Invalidation. They might invalidate their friends' struggles by comparing them to their own, or suggesting that others have it worse, effectively shutting down the conversation rather than offering support or empathy. Pressure for optimism. Toxic positivist friends might pressure their friends to maintain a constant facade of positivity, expecting them to always appear happy or grateful, even when they are struggling internally. Avoidance of difficult conversations. They might avoid engaging in conversations about difficult or uncomfortable topics, fearing that acknowledging negative emotions or experiences contradicts Stoic principles. Lack of empathy. They may lack genuine empathy for their friends' experiences, viewing any expression of vulnerability or pain as a sign of weakness rather than an opportunity for connection and support. It's important to remember that Stoicism, when practiced in a healthy manner, encourages resilience and emotional intelligence, but it does not advocate for suppressing or denying genuine human experiences. True Stoic friendship involves supporting each other through life's challenges, with empathy, understanding, and a recognition of the complexities of the human condition. Number 5. The victim. Imagine life as a game of chess, with each player having the same set of chess pieces and the same common goal to put the opponent's king in checkmate. You strategically make your moves, make sacrifices, and sometimes accept risks. However, the victim blames the chessboard, the pieces, or even their opponent for every poor move they make. In their eyes, they are constantly in checkmate, not because of their choice, but due to an external force working against them. Their story is an endless tale of suffering with themselves, cast as the helpless protagonist in life. This analogy helps us better understand how each of us faces challenges and makes decisions in this game. Everyone begins with the same set of pieces and a shared objective. We must think strategically and carefully plan our moves, just like moving chess pieces on a board. Some teams we must make sacrifices and take calculated risks to achieve our goals. However, what sets apart those who succeed from the victims is how they respond to failures and difficulties. The victim constantly seeks to assign blame to external factors, such as the chessboard, the pieces, or even their opponent whenever they encounter challenges or failures. Instead of taking responsibility for their actions or decisions, they believe that an external force is always working against them. Consequently, they perceive themselves as constantly being checkmate. The victim's life often becomes an unending narrative of suffering with themselves, cast as the helpless main character. They fail to recognize that they have choices and the power to control their own destiny. In contrast, those who succeed understand that life may present challenges and uncontrollable factors, but how they respond and decide their next moves in the game of life ultimately determines their fate. The important thing is to recognize that in life, everyone has to face difficulties and failures. And there are external factors that can affect us. However, the difference lies in how we deal with and learn from these situations. We can't always control everything, but how we react and decide the next move in the game of life ultimately determines our fate. While it's crucial to acknowledge that some people face genuine hardships and systemic issues, the victim we're discussing uses their predicament as a permanent excuse, refusing to take any responsibility for their actions or lack thereof. You might find yourself entangled in their storyline, perhaps as the supporting character who constantly needs to rescue them. Let's say you've spent countless hours listening to a friend blame their endless string of failed relationships entirely on their ex-partners. Not only does this consume your time, but it can also subtly encourage you to adopt a similar victim mindset in your own life. So what's your move when dealing with a victim, especially when they might be someone close to you? One unconventional but effective method is to ask them open-ended questions that encourage them to reflect on their situation. Instead of offering solutions or becoming their perpetual problem solver, try questions like, "What do you think you could do differently in this situation?" Or, "How do you see yourself taking control of this aspect of your life?" Another approach is to show empathy and kindness, but don't try to rescue them from situations they need to navigate themselves. Offer a listening ear, but refrain from becoming their perpetual problem solver. Remember the words of the Stoic philosopher Epicurus: "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." If you find yourself getting sucked into the victim's narrative, resist the urge to become one yourself. Take control of your own game board, make your moves, and remember that in the chess game of life, being perpetually in checkmate is often a choice, not a fate. Keep your pieces moving forward. Make strategic sacrifices when necessary, and play not for revenge or pity, but for growth and wisdom. Number 6. The time vampire. Imagine your everyday life as a carefully crafted symphony. Each instrument represents a task or obligation, and when played together they create a harmonious balance. But then comes the moment when the vampire joins in, screeching out of tune, drowning out the melody, and interrupting the flow of your life's composition. Time vampires are individuals who constantly demand your time and attention, often without offering much in return. You may have a friend who regularly calls you for long, confusing conversations that leave you exhausted and behind, or a colleague who constantly interrupts your work with little things that cause you to miss deadlines. Time vampires don't just eat up your time. They affect your concentration, productivity, and peace of mind. To deal with time vampires, it is important to set clear boundaries, communicate your availability and boundaries clearly but politely and let them know when you are available for calls or meetings and when you need focused, uninterrupted work time. Encourage her to respect your schedule the same way you respect hers. Another strategy is to redirect your needs toward more productive or efficient methods of communication. For example, if a friend tends to make long, aimless calls, suggest switching to shorter, targeted text messages or emails for quick updates or questions. This way you can regain control of your time and prevent it from being wasted. Expanding on the specific example of dealing with a friend who often has long and vague phone conversations, we can better understand how we can apply a strategy for time management and maintaining effectiveness in our daily lives. By making a switch suggests an effective strategy for shorter and longer conversations, concise text messages or emails as a more efficient means of communication. This not only saves time, but also creates a more comfortable communication environment for both parties. Changing the way you communicate can have several benefits. First, it allows you to have more control over your time by enabling interactions the way you want. You are not limited by long, vague phone calls that you may not want or be able to answer immediately. Instead, you can read and respond to text messages or emails at any time. Second, Using text messages or email as a means of communication can lead to more impactful and effective exchanges. You can organize your thoughts into concise, direct messages that help the recipient understand and respond promptly. This optimizes the exchange of information and reduces the wasted time that often accompanies lengthy conversations. Third, the introduction of this form of communication can create a more conducive environment for discussing and solving specific problems. You can concentrate on the central questions and requests, and the recipient can give precise answers without lengthy discussions. This helps maximize time for both parties and ensures tasks are completed more efficiently. By implementing this strategy, you can gain control of your time and maintain effectiveness in your daily life by diplomatically and rationally suggesting improvements in communication. They create a positive and pleasant environment for you and your contacts. In Stoic philosophy, the emphasis is on understanding what is under your control and what is not. Time vampires often try to take control of your schedule and attention, but you can assert your control by setting boundaries and consciously managing your time. Remember the words of the Stoic philosopher Seneca. It's not that we have little time, but that we waste a lot of it. Associating with people who uplift you and align you with Stoic principles is vital to your progress in Stoic philosophy and your personal growth. Number 7. The manipulator. Think of your life like a script. You're the main character and have an idea of how you want your story to unfold, where the twists are, who your allies and mentors are, and what your final act will be. Enter the manipulator, the shady producer who subtly rewrites your script without you realizing it until one day you realize your story has veered off course. The manipulator is an expert in the art of emotional or psychological maneuvers. They may use flattery, guilt, or even deception to steer you in a direction that benefits them. Maybe you have a friend who always makes you pay for dinner by saying something like, "You know, I've had a rough month and you're so successful." It wouldn't mean much to you, but it would mean it make the day better over time. You find that your generosity has been taken advantage of, but it's awkward calling them because they portrayed it as a favor to a friend in need. Operating a manipulator can be a complicated matter. One way to counter your tactics is with what some experts call fogging. This technique involves agreeing to the truth in the manipulator's statements, but refusing to be influenced by emotional coercion. If they say you're so successful, you should cover dinner, you could answer with, "You're right that it worked out well for me, but let's split the bill like we normally do." Another approach is to set clear boundaries and enforce them. If the manipulator wants you to borrow money or commit to tasks that you are not comfortable with, learn to say no confidently. Keep your tone calm and your words clear. "I can't lend money, but I'm here to offer emotional support." Set a boundary while maintaining the friendship. Be inspired by Stoic thinking. Epictetus warned us we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. The manipulator thrives on your predictable reactions. They manipulate your kindness, your feelings of guilt, or your desire for recognition. By choosing to respond differently, you take back control of your script. So if you find that there is a manipulator lurking in your life, remember that you are the one holding the pen. It's up to you to write your story. And while the cast can consist of a variety of characters, the protagonist's journey should always be guided by their values and choices. Claim your script and don't let anyone manipulate the narrative of your life. Number 8. The overconsumer. The 8th type of person to avoid is someone who likes to consume excessively. Moderation is one of the principles of Stoic philosophy, and for many, its accumulation does not solve their problems. It simply changes them, as Seneca said. People who enjoy eating too much and consuming too much are always looking for pleasure, often at the expense of themselves. Whether it is material possessions, food, or other pleasures, your lack of self-control can create an unstable whirlwind. Consider the example of Jacques, someone who enjoys excessive consumption. He often makes extravagant purchases, regularly attends lavish parties, and often dines in exclusive restaurants. Jack is constantly seeking pleasure and happiness by buying and enjoying delicious foods. He has spent too much money on unnecessary things and often stays up late to engage in extravagant activities. In this example, Jacques is a person who likes to consume excessively, the type of person that Stoic philosophy warns against. Seek pleasure and happiness by hoarding and consuming lots of things, often material possessions or extravagant experiences. This leads to a lack of self-control in managing your finances, time, and energy. Stoic philosophy emphasizes balance, moderation, and a focus on spiritual rather than material values. They believe that true contentment comes from understanding our limitations and living a life based on ethics and self-mastery. In Jack's case, he can learn to focus on spiritual pleasures and control his greed and overconsumption, which helps him achieve true balance and happiness. Stoic philosophy understands that true contentment does not come from excess, but from balance. It's about dealing with the world consciously, appreciating pleasures, and limiting excessive consumption. They seek satisfaction through moderation and self-control, rather than through hoarding or reckless indulgence. To achieve a stable and virtuous state of mind, they know that this process requires self-management and the ability to deal effectively and efficiently with personal desires. Number 9. The gossip. In today's modern world, gossip is widespread with the ease and speed of communication. These people spread stories without regard to the truth or the negative impact they might have. Dealing with them is like sowing seeds of distrust and misunderstanding in your life. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Don't waste your time arguing about what a good man should be. To be one, to be stoic, is to fight for virtue and truth." Engaging in gossip distracts you from that path. It is important to avoid not only gossip, but also those who do not respect these values. In short, beware of those who share unconfirmed information and stories, and do not trust those who do not stand for morality and truth. Imagine working in a competitive and sensitive work environment. You have completed an important and challenging project and are proud of the results. But shortly afterwards, a colleague tells you that there are negative rumors circulating in the company about you and your work. In this case, his colleague takes on the role of the clapper. You have created a tense environment and fostered misunderstandings about you and your work by spreading inaccurate and disrespectful information. Participating in this negative gossip. Gossip damaged not only their work ethic, but also the entire work environment. In such a situation, you can apply Stoic philosophy by maintaining your integrity and not allowing gossip to tarnish your character or morals. Instead, continue to work virtuously and produce quality works so that your truth and values shine brighter than uncertain rumors. Number 10. The Lord of Pessimism. The last person to avoid is the Lord of Pessimism. Some people may argue that gloomy skies have their own beauty, but pessimists only see the prospect of rain. Their minds are like dark rooms without windows for light to enter. They focus exclusively on the negative aspects and are blind to the opportunities that challenges often bring. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "Reject your feeling of hurt, and the hurt itself will disappear." Let this be a testament to the power of perspective. Optimism, or at least a balanced way of thinking, is considered important in Stoic philosophy. Stoicism is not about external events, but about how we evaluate them. Conclusion. Causing unrest. Stay away from those who constantly wear the cloak of negativity.